Isn't this just fun? Whoa. Oh, Bubbles. Bubbles. I remember that clown. Haunt. Ooh. Stretch. Well, I've got absolutely nobody to talk lifelong football with. Maybe one day it'll get better. Maybe one day I'll get people here on YouTube. Eric, what's up? You were my first ever person on YouTube. There we go. Eric coming in clutch. What's up, man? I am doing a silent protest against TikTok. This is typically something I'm doing each and every Monday night. And if you watch me at all on TikTok at all, you know it's more than Monday night. But so last night, as I hash this out, as I'm doing the normal thing after a big Colts win here in Indy. David, what's up, man? I knew David would show up. I figured David would show up. I'm a little late because I had some technical difficulties. I didn't quite have this YouTube thing hashed out like I thought I was going to. But after a huge Colts win last night or yesterday, come home, go live on Sunday night as I typically do. We weren't talking anything crazy or whatnot. I had somebody in there that was bitching about and complaining about me not showing the game, as people always do. And I'm like, I'm not showing the game. The game is on. I'm watching the game. You're watching me watch the game. So about an hour into it, here's the funny thing. Well, not really funny, but I go on to this diatribe about how soft the National Football League is, how soft they've gotten. I was complaining about Justin Jefferson being fined $10,000. I don't know if you guys saw this or not, where he caught a touchdown pass, gets up, and I can't remember who it was against, but he's like, "You're too little." He put his hand down and he said, "You're too small," like that, and walks off. That's what he does. So as he does that, the NFL fines him over $10,000 for doing that. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Like, that's what we're doing. You're going to fine him $10,000 for that. I'm like, my question was, it's okay to get together in a team and row a boat. It's okay to, be bowling pins and be knocked down by a bowling ball. It's okay to do a keg stand. The Colts did it, and Quentin Nelson pretended to do a keg stand. It's okay to do all of those things, but don't tell somebody they're too small. I'm like, what are we doing in the National Football League? I said, have we really gotten that soft? Like, football is a violent game. Like, it's okay to knock someone unconscious. It's okay to die on the field. We see all of those things, but don't hurt someone's feelings. That's where we draw the line. And I kid you not, 5 minutes, I went back and looked about 5-6 minutes after this. I didn't say didn't do anything else. You know, if you watch me at all, you know I don't get sideways. I try real hard not to even let a curse word slip out here and there. As I'm just like I always am. Boom, live ends. When it got shut down, I was talking about Edgerrin James. Edgerrin James being drafted and his gold teeth at the time. How he didn't have a lot of promos and different ad opportunities because he refused to take out his gold teeth. Not only was my live banned, I've been banned on live for a week. This has happened one other time, and it was right when TikTok first started. And this was like 2 years ago. Somebody got mad because I hurt someone's feelings because they didn't like what I said that the security guard that tackled the lady that ran out on the basketball court did a good job. So I get banned. So I start looking into it, and it was a copyright ban saying that the NFL filed a complaint on me. Like, it wasn't like a normal type ban. It said I've been banned. I've lost live access for a week. Keep in mind, I am a verified account that, you know, I'm verified for my government official status, this, that, and the other. That's how and the why of all those things. I go back and I look, and it says the NFL, like, they had to fill out a form. Whoever did it had to fill out a form, like enter email address. It wasn't like just a complaint like on TikTok. So, of course, I appeal it, and I knew there was going to be nothing that comes out of it because TikTok it is sad. It is absolutely sad. I don't know if YouTube's any better with the silencing of people, but again, I wasn't showing the game. You know, you can watch anything you want, any sporting event, any pay-per-view event, anything on TikTok because people will show it all day long. I was doing this. Absolutely just sitting here doing this. And they want to come at me, then so be it. But so I'm still off for a week. Remember when Randy Moss and Terrell Owens acted like they were mooning the crowd and players who gave the opposing fans the middle finger? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, and here's the thing. It's, you know, the celebrations I'm okay with. Man, I look rough. I'm okay with the celebrations and whatnot. Go for it. But when you're fining a guy $10,000 and like if you go back and look at that, he didn't get in his face, he didn't act crazy, he didn't do all this. You know, he just put his hand down and like you and I, like when I saw it the first time, I didn't understand what he meant. It wasn't that clear that that's what he was saying. I thought he was talking about the pass was too low or something. But no. But to fine a player $10,000 for hurting somebody's feelings, come on now. And I started to go into this is, you know, we've gotten super soft. The National Football League has, I think, gotten uber soft. And this came up with the talking about Anthony Richardson, the conversation that I'd had, you know, talked a couple weeks about in live about how I'm still on him self-reporting the concussion protocol. Right? I still am not, I don't feel great about that. You know, he's had 4 injuries in 5 games. I am super excited about Anthony Richardson. I'm super excited that he's a Colt. I want him to continue to do big things. However, 4 injuries in 5 games. Like, come on, man. At some point, now, I know the one yesterday, it looked like he couldn't raise his arm. But at some point, where is the line where you've got to, I got to suck this up. This is football. You know what I'm saying? David, I appreciate you, man. I have a backup, and I don't know. I think I messaged you in particular on that. I have a backup at the Officer Craig backup on TikTok. But I was so disgusted over that. Like it, and keep in mind, I'm off I'm off for the next 2 weeks. So this week was I had a lot of things planned and things to do to as far as going into the live. Yeah, I'm jaded by that. So I can go live on the backup, but this is YouTube is actually the platform I would prefer anyways from what I'm told, or at least to expand out and to start to touch and start to scratch the surface on YouTube before I start to expand a little bit more. Hopefully I'll have a lot of stuff wrapped up by the end of my little break here, but it is what it is. So, huge game yesterday for the Colts, man. I couldn't have been more excited. As I told, some of you, and David, I don't know if I mentioned that or not, that I was going because I wasn't planning on going. My son came in who left me. He felt bad is what it was. He felt bad about, leaving me hanging the previous week during the Rams game, because he had a project to do that he didn't get done. He procrastinated, didn't get it done in time, couldn't go to the game. So I went to the game by myself, the Rams game. Okay, no biggie, right? I actually had a good time by myself. And it's wild going to an event like that. I'm like, dude, I can do this all day long. You can go where you want, do what you want, slide into places you typically wouldn't be able to slide into if you have somebody else with you. But it got to be after the JT thing came out, he'd talked about it. He's like, we should go to that game. And I'm like, yeah, I would love to go. It's Titans. I think the Colts beat the Titans this week. So he ended up pulling the trigger on buying tickets, which I didn't want him to do because that's money I'm going to have to worry about later on down the road anyway. But he bought us some nosebleed seats. And thing is, I never sit there anyway. Jones, what's good, man? How are you? So I was just telling the other couple that were here, David and Eric, that were in here, what happened last night. Jones, I think you were there last night when I got banned, I believe. So I've been banned for a week. So it will be next Sunday night at 9:05. And that is just, to me, that is just absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. You want to ban me for something, that's fine. But here's the other part of it. I know there was no human involvement in any of this. That's the other part that really gripes me. It would be different if my account was, maybe not. It shouldn't be any different if I had 1,500 followers or 160,000. And you verified my account. My account's, it sits in you've put it in a different classification than other ones. Send me a message if there is something you believe that I'm doing that I shouldn't be doing, or whatever the case may be. But to just terminate my stream, and like I was telling you, I'm on vacation for this week. I had so much planned in hopes to make a dime off of it this coming week, because I've got things that we're looking to fund, i.e. the podcast. So that was one thing that I was hoping to bring out this week, maybe make a little bit if anybody was wanting to toss in on the podcast and go on from there. So I was going to talk a lot about that, do a lot of work on TikTok, promote the things that I typically promote, just hang back and have fun. But to do that for a solid week is insane. A day, okay, maybe. But then they have an appeal process that's not really, it's not an appeal process. I don't think a human ever looked at it. I sent it. It looked like it. They made me wait 12 hours on a response. And then they can't say anything that I did wrong. It's just all a bunch of legalese, a bunch of, legal speak that you don't understand. So, Colts stuffed Henry. David, absolutely, man. That was the big thing. And there were so many Titans fans there yesterday. That was the other thing. The Colts stuffed Henry in a big way. I loved every bit of it. He just could not get going yesterday, and that was awesome. I absolutely love that. David, I appreciate you, man. I would love for that to happen McAfee. I met him once a long time ago, but that's why he was still a Colt. It was before he was doing this type stuff. But I know where he's at. The crazy thing is he bought where he does the show is from an area that's maybe 5 minutes from the house where I grew up, and he bought an old church that's it's in a pretty much a residential area and neighborhood, but it's not close to the airport, which you would think, as much traveling as Pat McAfee does, that he would be close to the airport. You know what? Now that I say that out loud, it is close to a Indianapolis International Satellite Airport that's on the northeast side of town. So that makes sense because he's usually flying a private jet, and there are a lot of private jets that come in and out of there. So I answered my own question as I'm just talking out loud. So people saying the Titans have the best run defense, and Zach Moss walked all over them. So that the question becomes, what do the Colts do with Zach Moss? I believe the Colts keep Zach Moss. I said this last night. How about them 4-win Colts, right? Hey, I'll be happy if they, 4 wins. Okay, I'll be happy with that. I'm good with the 3 at the moment, because there were a lot of people out there that didn't believe that the Colts would get 4 wins, and I think the people that were saying that were ones that really don't know anything about the team, obviously. But what? So here's another one. And David, what about those Steelers, man? What about the Steelers? What about the Steelers and the Ravens? Like that, and that's a game that I'm hoping to catch on replay. I didn't get to record it. I haven't seen it on replay yet. And that's one thing. That's why I live during the week. I live by the NFL Network, because a lot of the games like that, they replay during the week, so I'll get to see them when I did have an opportunity to. And even if not, I'll record them so I can get a chance to sit down and watch them when I want. That is one of the games I want to see. Clutch plays. So how was overall? I'm assuming you watched the game, David. How did Pickett look in and out? Because that kid is taken so much on the chin, even by Steelers fans, man. I think, as you and I have talked about time and time again, I think that kid is starting to get a raw deal. And I don't want to see happen to him what I think happened to Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. People turn their back on him. And I hope that the city of Pittsburgh does not turn their back on this kid, because I assure you there's nobody that wants to win for that city or for that franchise like Kenny Pickett does. We can keep both running backs and have the best running back duo in the league. Dude, we could. We absolutely could. But I assure you this, if that won't last. That will not last. Money is going to become an issue. And you're not going to have one guy that's making peanuts, outperforming a guy that was, just signed to a $42 million contract. That's not going to last long. And I think yesterday by Zach Moss was a statement game for him. I definitely think that was a statement game for him. It was in a way to say, hey, kick rocks. You just paid this guy all this money. Look what I can do. Look what I can do. You guys didn't have faith in me. Because if you're Zach Moss, how do you not take that? How do you not take them signing JT or giving him an extension and paying him when they didn't want to? How do you not take offense to that? Like, look, I've come out here out of the gate this season. I was injured early on, but every game since, I've been at the century mark, and I've helped you win ball games. Why are you paying this guy who obviously doesn't want to be here all of this money? Now, as I talked about this at the game, and I talked about this last night before I was terminated. I I don't think Jonathan Taylor stays with the Colts. Remember, this is one of those things I want you to remember I'm saying, because as time goes on, people will forget and be like, no, I don't think Jonathan Taylor remains an Indianapolis Colt. If he makes it past this trade deadline, okay, so be it. But I think, when we come into the 24 season, I think his time with the Colts is going to be short-lived. I really do. I really do. Defense held them in the fourth. The offense woke up rough early but clutch late. And look, as a young quarterback, that's what more can you ask for, right? He's still going to make mistakes. He hasn't worked out all of the bugs and everything that he has. Hell, as we talked about in the offseason, Kenny Pickett, I believe he just now has a team around him that's his, that is more suited for the things that he likes and how he's more suited to play. He took the reins over of someone else's team, back when he came in after Big Ben left. So that wasn't really his team he was taking the reins over for. Let's see. Kenny has the heart and the work ethic. It's paying off. First place or bye, I'll take it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, and Moss has stepped up, and I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit and act like that I'm somebody that said, "Oh, I saw this coming, this, that, and the other." No, when we got Zach Moss in that deal, I'm like, who? Why? I thought he was just a contract filler or a trade filler. I thought this guy was just a practice team piece. Oh, that feels better. Yeah, can't ask for anything more. Is Jelani Woods a starter? Look, I like Jelani Woods. And my son Carter asked me about this yesterday. I'm like, well, hell, with the Colts tight ends that's one thing we're not lacking. And you've got, Ogletree, Granson, Jelani Woods, Mo Alley Cox. You've got all of these tight ends, and nobody is really just head and shoulders above the rest. They're not. I don't believe any of them are just head and shoulders above everybody else. They all have different little traits that you would like to see out of a starting tight end, right? But I think the biggest thing is going to be, whoever makes that. And right now, with it being Gardner Minshew's team, and it's going to be Gardner Minshew's team for at least the near future, it's whoever they build that relationship with. So, one of them's got to be, a little closer to AR or a little closer to Gardner Minshew. And those are the two tight ends I think you keep and you make starters, because I really it's kind of a crapshoot. Mr. Thompson, what's good, man? Bryce, what's up, man? Sorry I'm over here. I'm trying out the YouTube thing. If you didn't hear, TikTok gave me the axe last night in my live. Of all things that I try to keep it, I try to keep it above reproach. I try not to curse on here. A curse word will slip out from time to time, but it's not intentional. It's not intentional. And this is really, it gave me a good reason to try this out, which this is the first time I've ever been live on YouTube. I've done Instagram. That's a whole different group and a whole different monster. My plan is, still is, hopefully get this hammered out over the next 2 weeks when I have some time and I'm off. That way I will just live stream and be able to stream it to all platforms, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. And maybe X now, because X has really changed how, their citizen journalism type of thing. So I may stream there. But that way I can do it all from, I'm not just doing it through one solid platform. And if they have a problem with me, then so be it. But the complaint I had, like I said, that they have verified my account. I'm verified on TikTok. I'm not just some random out there doing random things on a live. on TikTok. They know me. I have a relationship with them that I've built over the course of the past 4 years. I did not reach out to any of my TikTok contacts over this today. One, it was a holiday, and two, I'm frustrated with it, and it's one of those things that I believe that by time it works out and they get an answer or are able to maybe reinstate me, it's going to be 2 days early. Unfortunately, I had an opportunity to go Sunday. I had a restaurant here in Indy. I was going to go down and live stream the Colts game because we've got a Colts game against Jacksonville on Sunday. I was going to stream live on TikTok from there, but I'm going to have to hit pause on that. I really, really, really don't like someone or a corporation, especially when I know there was no human involvement here, with the exception of whoever it was did the complaint. There was no human involvement. When I filed an appeal, there was no human looking at this and reviewing my live and being like, oh, yeah, there's nothing there. So I think I mentioned this. According to what it said it was a copyright violation. And it says the complainant was the National Football League. I'll try to pull it up and show you. But I don't believe for a second that the NFL is complaining about me. You know what I mean? Of all the things out there in the world, all the counterfeiting, all the everything else, I don't believe the National Football League is monitoring TikTok on a Sunday night during Sunday Night Football and coming after me as I sit here and do this because I have a game that's on behind me that sometimes you can see, sometimes you can't. I don't believe that. So we'll see. So do me a favor. I appreciate the 7 of you that are here. You have no idea how much I appreciate it. But please like, share. If you know anybody that may remotely enjoy what we're talking about, that wants to talk life, Florida football, please share. Try to drive some traffic this way. YouTube is definitely a place I would prefer to be anyway. Like I would love to be on all platforms because that way we can talk to as many people as possible and get as many different inputs and opinions, and that's the goal of it, right? You don't want to just be with completely like-minded people all the time. But that being said, I know that YouTube is not as just punishes people just because they can. And that's really like some of the things that I have to report to TikTok that is endangering minors or some of the things that they allow up, and then they come after me and take my live down for a week. It's really hardened me a lot with TikTok and wanting to do things to help make them any kind of revenue. So, do you think we pull in the win next week at Jacksonville? Everyone says there's a curse. So, it's going to be tough. I'm not going to lie to you. With Jacksonville coming off a big game, being overseas for 2 weeks, it's going to be tough. And it's going to be dependent on what Colts team shows up as well, right? So it's already said I haven't talked about AR at all. AR, they're still calling it a sprain at this point. We don't know for sure. He's definitely going to miss, and I'm using air quotes here, sometime. So that is absolutely a possibility we go in there. And the Colts have not won in Jacksonville since 2015. So the last time the Colts won a game in Jacksonville, Andrew Luck threw 4 touchdowns. Like, we beat the brakes off of him the last time we won a game there. And winning that game yesterday, like, this was a lot of firsts. And that's why, to me, yesterday was a must-win. And to me, this game Sunday is still another must-win. Like, these are things, in order for Shane Steichen as a head coach and this franchise and this current roster to really, shed their shell of their former selves and everything that this team was under Frank Reich, the Colts have to go in there and win in Jacksonville. They do. Yesterday they beat Tennessee Titans for the first time in a five-game losing streak. So the first time since 2020 they'd beat the Tennessee Titans. Not to mention, that was the first home game they had won in almost a full calendar year. That was the first home game they'd won since the Jacksonville game at home mid-October of last year. I think it was October 15th or 16th, something like that. So that's huge, absolutely huge. But I absolutely think, if I'm a bet man, I'm taking the Colts. They have every reason to go in there to march into Jacksonville. I think it's another statement game for the Colts, and I think it's another statement win for the Colts. And so if you have you're taking the Colts in any way, shape, or form, I take them all day long. Take them all day long. What number of snaps do you think JT gets on Sunday? I think you see JT's snaps go up. Here's my thing. Is it me? Did anyone else think JT looked slimmer and trimmer? Like, if you look with their helmets on, you look at Zach Moss next to Jonathan Taylor, Zach Moss looks a lot more like Jonathan Taylor did in 2021 than Jonathan Taylor looks like Jonathan Taylor in 2021. Am I wrong? Is anybody tracking here? Did anybody pay attention to that, or did anybody see that, or is this just in my head from where my negative pieces are with this? But I absolutely think Jonathan Taylor has not conditioned, in a way that maybe he should have to go get $42 million. Maybe I'm wrong. Yet to see that, but I still think Zach Moss is a more fit specimen that can run the ball. I think Zach Moss, we're still going to have higher production out of Zach Moss, but I think you definitely see JT with a quarter, if not more, of the touches come Sunday. I think he needs to be right at about 25%. Because I didn't see what the percentage was of this game, but it was lower than 25%. I assure you that. You also need some more mods on TikTok. Should throw one. Absolutely. So, to your point, yeah, I had a lot of mods, there for a while, and I hadn't had any need for them because I try to do a good job. My live is very, until I get on a tangent like I just did. It's very comment driven. And what I mean by that is everything I do and say on TikTok is, I'm responding to comments. That being said, I have no problem making you a mod. However, two things. One, if someone's respectful, I mean, that's a lot of power. I just don't want them, doing it to anyone. But we don't mute. I do not mute people on there. If you mute somebody, all that does is I've seen they turn around and then complain on you, want to file a report. If someone says something sideways enough where they need muted, they just get blocked. I just, and not that I don't need them, but I don't need them. Like, if you're going to show up in the live and I have no idea who you are, like, we don't need that. I don't need it. You don't need it. We don't need to hear it. I just block them. Just, sorry. And I've had people come back. They get blocked, they make a fake account and come right back. I had one guy, and this was over a Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes conversation. I had one guy that made somewhere in the ballpark of close to 15 fake accounts. He was that mad that he was getting blocked and just kept coming in. And I'm like, look, man, if I'm living that rent free in your head, man, I'm sorry. I am sorry. And he wanted to argue. He kept trying to argue with me over how Patrick Mahomes was so much better than Joe Burrow. And I'm like, look, I really don't care. I said, at the end of the day, I'm real not. They're neither one of them hold a candle to Peyton Manning in my eyes. So I really don't care. I'm not really a fan of either one of them, dude. It's not that deep. Like it really wasn't. And he lost his ever loving mind. Could they have a pre-agreement with the NFL for accounts who show games, although it's normally very difficult to see the game when you're live? Absolutely, and that's what and that's my point. I think if this would have been just anyone else, I think from a non-account. So my account I can't show because they consider me like a business, I guess, since I'm a government official or a police officer or whatever the case may be, and I'm verified. I can't use I can't use like music. Like if there's a trending TikTok song, I can't use it. Because I have my own content. I can't use anyone else's. But even then, like I said, it's on in the background. It's not like I'm showing, I'm showing full chunks of the game because I leave it on here and then I have another TV that's right at my 1 o'clock that I watch it on. And that's usually just in reference. And look how long I've done this. I'm not new to this. That's the thing. I just find it awfully odd that this occurred 5 minutes after I said, NFL, what are we doing? I literally called him out. But there was also a guy on here that was getting pissy that I wouldn't show the game. Just show the game. Just show the game. As I know all of you that are here have seen people do that. Stop yapping and show the game. And then I typically just block them. Well, last night I didn't block that guy. And I should have because I was in the middle of a tangent and I saw the comment and I didn't say anything and I let it go. But typically when somebody says that, I'll block them. Because I'm like, you have no idea who I am. You're obviously not here to do what we do here. If you're telling me to shut up and show the game, you're in the wrong place. So, let's see. November 26th, first Bucks, I think, will be his return. It just makes sense. Look, even with a few of us in here, I'm still behind on comments. Yeah, it is. It's sad. And what the other part that's sad is, here's the thing, man. I'm so frustrated by this. I was so frustrated by that. It could have been what if I was someone that this was my livelihood? You know what I mean? There are people on TikTok that sell things on there. There are people on TikTok that seriously use this as their income. The fact that they just shut me down, can't talk to anybody about it. Sure, you can file an appeal. Nobody's ever going to read it. We're going to give you an automated email in return that basically tells you to kick rocks with no answers. Because again, it doesn't say what I did. It says I violated community guidelines via copyright. And that was it. Okay, how? Tell me how. If you're going to shut me down on something that I've helped make them a ton of money from, not just me, but everyone has. Don't think for a second TikTok doesn't make hand over fist money by, accounts like yours and accounts like mine, especially that generate because they sell advertising. That's how they make their money. And especially if you've got a video, and I've had videos that have gone off and taken off before, they use us. Hold on, I was going to read the... here at 6:03. So this is right at about... Well, I guess it was, closer to 20 hours later, but... Dear user, doesn't even say this is the email I got. Dear user, thank you for writing in. We have determined as a part of our review that the relevant exceptions and or limitations are not applicable and have continued disabling access to the reported content. Did any of that make sense to any of you? Please note this is our final decision on this matter. Thanks, TikTok team. Then gives you a report time, report ID, and an appealed URL. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. So I have really, it's going to take me some time. That's what I could have, I could have had more people. I've got, I don't know, 1,200 followers on my backup because I've never pushed my backup account. I made that account. I posted one video, and within like 3 days, it had over 1,000 followers, and I've never really done anything else with it. I've posted a couple of videos like that next week or two from it, and I've just never. I guess I should push it more. But here's my thing: I'm like, if they're going to do that to my verified account, why do I want to be on there at all? And I do because of all of you, but I want to try to, hopefully, I can expand if anybody wants to. Yeah, absolutely. It's legalese. Absolutely. Jacob, what's good, buddy? Yep, AR is hurt again. It's already been called for Sunday's game. He will definitely be out. Gardner Minshew will get the start on Sunday in Jacksonville, which don't think for a second that Mustache doesn't want to go down there and get the Colts their first win in Jacksonville since 2015. I assure you he will. And hold on, give me just a second. I'm trying to look up. Where in the heck is the schedule? Sorry, I was trying to pull up the... Yeah, Colts.com is just... There we go. I tell you what, I got to go to the... I actually went to Colts Pro Shop last night, or yesterday. I didn't go the game before, because it was so busy. I think I want to save some money and make a... because I didn't realize you can have jerseys made down there. You can have like personalized jerseys made with the number or... Ooh, look at all this nonsense. Ooh. But you can have personalized jerseys made, and it's... I want to get one with the @Officer Craig on the back of it. I don't know what number I'd put on there, though. So, I love that the fact that the Colts are 3-2 coming in to Week 6 against Jacksonville. That's huge. I think that is absolutely huge. But look, the Mustache is 3-0 with the Colts. Like Mustache is 3-0 against the Colts, or for the Colts. He's the guy. Gardner Minshew is the guy. So I understand why so many Colts fans are like, they need to start him, quit screwing with AR, blah, 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 blah. I get that. I understand. Why did that just happen? I get that. I understand. But it's frustrating that more people don't understand what the bigger picture is, right? Absolutely. If anyone wants to win in Jacksonville next week, it definitely should be Gardner Minshew. And I love the fact that he's getting the start. If you really look at this by design, and I haven't been real far off when I said I think we'll see them both on the field, just about every Sunday. I didn't think it would be like this. I really didn't think it would be due to injury. But, don't think that Anthony Richardson is not learning and developing through this time, because he absolutely is. Whether he gets injured or not, like yesterday, it was hard. He fell weird. He fell on his shoulder. It was hard to get away from that, right? But yeah, he liked his time with Jacksonville. He was their start. Like, people don't realize that he's had, 29? I think he started 29 games. Like, that's a lot. You know what I mean? Especially for somebody that's a backup. So I have fans all the time say, Gardner Minshew should be starter, this, that, and the other. I'm like, don't think that he hasn't had his opportunity to lead a team. Like, when he first took over and started winning as a backup, they went with him that next season. Jacksonville did. and they won one game, I believe. So they moved on from Gardner Minshew. However, he, I think he's just somebody that is a good backup. Period. Which is okay. And as I've said many times before, he reminds me of Fitzmagic. I think he is the new Ryan Fitzpatrick in this league, and the Colts will not be the last team he plays for, nor will whoever the next team is. Like, he will bounce around because he is that guy where if a team is in a bad situation, that they are willing to pay, the chances that he's just sitting on someone's bench somewhere are pretty high. And he's talented enough, and he can win, and he is a, seasoned enough veteran that teams are going to be willing, if their backs are against the wall, that they're going to be willing to spend the money for hopefully him to come in and save their season, right? And if you're that guy, there's money to definitely be made if you're that guy, right? There's definitely money to be made. So going back, sadly, I was really wanting to go live from the Handlebar or from the Hangar, which is a restaurant downtown Indianapolis. They've been, nice enough to extend an invitation to me. I was supposed to talk to the owner this week. I was like, yeah, if I can go live from there, this, that, and the other. He's like, yeah, if can we have a conversation, just make sure we're on the same page. And I haven't responded to him yet because he sent that right before I went, right before I was terminated, which stinks, man. That really, really stinks. If I have an opportunity to go down and help a business in downtown Indianapolis and hopefully get some people that way, that's great. Like, this is fun and all, but, having 200 followers on YouTube opposed to 160,000 on TikTok's a whole different ballgame. And, I just don't have that same exposure here. Not yet, anyway. Even if I had a quarter of that, I'd be happy here. You know what? Absolutely. Colt, I need Watson to get cramps right now. Right? He could. He absolutely could. But so, and then here, I didn't have an opportunity this past week. DeJuan, the Browns were on a bye. DeJuan was home. I talked to him a couple of times. I was going to try to take him to lunch or dinner, but he's like, I'll try to squeeze it in. And then I just didn't bother him anymore about it. I'm like, just let me know if you can make it happen or if you can make it work. But I didn't get a chance to link up with him. Hopefully, the Colts play the Browns the 22nd. So that's my last day of vacation. Hopefully, I'll be able to link up with him at that game or after the game. I'm not asking him for tickets for that game. Absolutely not, because I know that's going to be a plenty. There's going to be a lot of 79 Browns jerseys in the house at Lucas Oil come the 22nd, which I hope. And that's something I need to get, man. I have not gotten a DeJuan jersey yet. I don't know if they make DeJuan jerseys in my size. Like, having that 79, man, is huge. He's been on before. I'm just waiting for the right time to ask him, and I should have had him on during the bye. That's a time that I don't want to, I don't want to bother him during the week. I'm really, I don't know, not apprehensive, but I don't want to overstep, and I don't want to make him feel odd or feel required to do something if he doesn't want to do something. I don't want to put him in that position. You know what I mean? Because of our relationship and how it was and how it is now, I don't want him to feel bad to tell me no. So I try not to put him in those sort of positions. So with that being said, Colts, Saints, So yeah, like we have quite a homestand. So we go to Jacksonville and then we're back home for 2 more games with the Browns and the Saints. Then 11-5, November the 5th. I'm looking forward to this game. The Colts march into Carolina, and I want to see the Colts go out there, and that is absolute game that I want to see the Colts win. Like that was one. That was one I had circled on the schedule this year for obviously different reasons. Um, but that's a game I want to see the Colts go in there and go off on the Carolina Panthers. Um, and that being said, do you think, I don't think there's any Panthers fans in here at the moment, but do you think Carolina is now starting to figure out that maybe Frank Reich was not the guy? That maybe Frank Reich was not it. And I said this last night. Like Frank Reich has done to the Carolina Panthers exactly what he did to the Colts with he who shall not be named and Carson Wentz. Like he jeopardized and mortgaged our future on a pipe dream, on somebody, on a gut instinct, and I'm sorry, I've said this all along. I don't believe Bryce Young is him. I don't. And I understand he's young. It's early. It's all of these things. But I don't believe that Bryce Young is the guy. He may have some good games here and there, but I don't believe that Bryce Young is. He obviously hasn't played, and AR's been hurt. But he definitely hasn't played to the level of CJ Stroud. And in that, and in going with the CJ Stroud conversation, I have people that are like, he's rookie of the year, he's rookie of the year. I was hoping him and AR were going to battle that out. And, if AR would have started every game and not missed games like this, I think AR could have beat him. I would be lying to you all if I told you guys I'm not worried about Anthony Richardson. I'd be lying. These injuries, for having a quarterback like we had out of Peyton Manning, who was never hurt, who never missed a start, who took pride in that. And you knew darn good and well that Peyton Manning was going to be close to dead before he missed a start. Having that to somebody like Anthony Richardson, who's now been injured 4 times in 5 games, that is going and saying, hey, my head doesn't feel good on the sidelines. That's, and then going through what we went through with Andrew Luck. Having quarterbacks that are injury prone or injury plagued, that's tough because you can't plan. You can't plan ahead. You have no consistency. And if you don't have if you don't have consistency under center, and you've got this guy that keeps missing games or going down or whatever else, that's just as bad, if not worse, than having someone under center like Carson Wentz. Like, to me, it is. Like, he has literally been injured 4 times in 5 games, his first 5 games. Now, my defense part of that, as I said last night, Colts fans, I believe we have to get behind him. We have to support him. We have to do all of these things. I say that because he's young. He is young. He only played 13 games in college total. Like, this kid hadn't even played, 20 games of football outside of high school. Think about that. He hadn't even played 20 games outside of high school. So I'm hoping a lot of this is just stuff that he's going to learn and develop. But I really hope there are some that are around him, the head coach and Shane Steichen being one, that is going to build him up and teach him on, hey, man, you're going to have to shake some things off. Be reluctant on running to the doctor or the trainer or whatever else. Not every time you feel pain doesn't require a doctor or a pill or an evaluation, right? Like, You're not going to injure yourself long term. Like, you're going to know if you've got a long term injury. But if you're getting up, walking, moving, doing all of these things, let's hang on a minute before we start, and that's where I was with that self-reporting concussion. Like, that self-reporting concussion to me, that was a big red flag to me. But it was a flag. I won't say a red flag. It was just a flag. And that is going to be something that I'm always going to have planted in my head. Every time I look at AR, I'm always going to refer back to that self-reporting concussion. And we'll see where I really hope for him, and I hope for the Colts, because I like AR a great deal. I really hope that he has a long, fruitful career here. But man, him, and I'm not judging anyone. Again, I'm not judging it. Maybe I am. Maybe that's a lie. Maybe exactly what I'm doing, sitting here judging. I just find it, when you're used to seeing guys like this, or guys that want to win so much that they will hide an injury, or you're gonna have to drag them. You're gonna have to lock them up before they miss a game, or before they miss a start, or before they let down their team. It's different. It's a much different feel. And I don't know, Doug, what's up, man? What is up? Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate the regulars coming by, man. I appreciate this. I wasn't sure how this was going to go, or if anybody would show up. And Eric showed up, and then David right out of the gate. So I appreciate it. I was a little late getting on because of some technical difficulties I had here. I started at 3 different times. But it looks like we're up and running now, at least for a little bit. And Doug, like, you weren't here for the earlier parts of it, but TikTok banned me from going live for a week, so it will be next Sunday evening after 9 o'clock before I can go live again. So, and then you better believe when I go live again that I will take very, the comments. I will not. Anybody gets remotely sideways, they're going to be blocked. So I will dial up a lot more moderators that are going to be active on blocking people, because that was such nonsense. I'm still so frustrated by it. I have thought about applying for any kind of, seeing if I can get anything in writing from them. Like what is that? Like, what is it to them? And or seeing what it takes to get a media credential. I'm not media, but let's see. Or I'll just continue doing things in a guerrilla warfare type of way and reporting football like we always have. So, but going back to the AR before I got derailed. The self-reporting of the concussion is always just going to be, I'm always going to have it in the back of my mind. And until we see something different, until we see him start to work through an injury, it doesn't look good. Like, I'm hoping this is just going to be one of those rough seasons that we're a learning season. And will you be live? I guess I can be live at halftime. I think it's 9 o'clock. Let me see. Stand by and I'll tell you. But the thing is, I'm going to miss the Colts game. That's what. Dude, you wanna ban me all week, give me punishment? That's fine. But let me back for the Colts game, right? Like, that's what really frustrates me. And I don't want to go down and have, to that restaurant and stream from there on a backup account. That's not right for them. Maybe I'll go down and check it out, but hold on, let me see what I can find here. I'll show you guys what it says. And none of this is easy. It's not easy to get to either. And then they send me this. They send me the appeal, saying, "Yeah, your appeal's been denied." And then they immediately send me, "We want to hear from you. Please help us. Please help us improve your TikTok experience by filling out this survey." Oh boy, they're not going to like the results they heard of that. So here was something else. And they showed this. It was called a new IP strike. I know you can't see anything. But it says new IP strike added. Hold on what it says. You received a new copyright strike for violating our IP policy. Multiple strikes may cause account suspension. Tap to view account status. About our IP policy. So I do that. And this is separate than the suspension. It says account warning. TikTok respects the intellectual property rights of others, and we expect our users to do the same. Your account has multiple IP policy violations and is at high risk of being banned from TikTok. Like, seriously? How? I have never once heard from you folks. I have never any of that. You may view and appeal past violations or learn more about our IP policy. What are you talking about, past violations? Like, you've never shown me one. And then it says strike one, which I appealed. And then appeal not approved. Claimed by the violation reason. Claimed by the NFL. TikTok takes copyright complaints seriously. So is it because I was wearing a jersey? Like, what is it? Like, exactly, what is it? That's the issue, man. Like, what? Explain what it is. Explain what I did wrong, which they refuse to do. Like, all of my content. Let's see. So I have a feeling this will probably, if I just disappear one day, you'll know the reason. So make sure, you follow me on IG, follow me on X or Twitter. I don't know if you guys are on there. I am active on Twitter a lot more than I am, and I talk a lot more cult stuff on Twitter as well than I do Instagram. But like this, to me, they're setting me up to fail. Like, I have no idea. Punish me for something, that's fine, but tell me what it's for. Defense, what's good, man? That's the best I can. That's the best I gather, is that the game was on in the background. That's it. But here's the thing. That's no different than what it's been any other time, right? And it's on about like this. Like, if you can see bits and pieces of it from time to time, if I get up or move my head just right, but that's not showing the game. So, Colts have lost every game I haven't watched this season. Well, you're going to have to make sure you watch more Colts games. They thought you were in the game. Yeah, right? Yeah, I don't know, but that's the complaint I had, and the thing is, I won't get any answers. Now, I will reach out. I will more than likely reach out to my contact at TikTok about that part of it. So I'm like, hey, tell me what it is I'm doing wrong here. Like, what's the issue? They're not giving me any answers. But the fact that it says the NFL is the one that complained on me. The National Football League. I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for stopping by, man. I won't be on here too god awful long, but I appreciate you. Make sure you share. Let's try to build this up best we can. I appreciate it. But yeah, it's frustrating, man. Especially I've worked so hard on on my TikTok account. Haven't done anything different, and now this. So it's frustrating. Let's see. They said, I heard AJ Hawk saying the AFC North was the ghetto of football. What? That's what he just said. That's insane. But yeah, so the Colts on the road in Carolina at the beginning of November, and then straight to New England. So I'm really hoping that it's not even in New England. Where's that? It's in Germany. Which, again, I don't like. I'm not a fan of those games. I'm not a fan of those games at all. I don't know. Do you guys like those games? I'm not a fan of the overseas games. NCAA and certain universities have been complaining about several big accounts on TikTok as well because fans complain about officials or coaches. Yeah, and that's probably what happened because I complained about them being soft. So they complained about me. But, that I would be remiss to think that the NFL's sitting there watching my account. Obviously they are. Or someone close enough to them is. It's that's insane. And that's the biggest most confusing part to all this is I don't get the what and the why. If they want to throw report numbers and all of these different things, then tell me what it's about. Explain. Put it in depth. And then show me the complaint and what it was about. So that's the part that I really don't like about TikTok. I've been a big advocate of TikTok and people's ability to continue to have free speech, but is it really? Like I get it. If I'm doing wrong, shame on me. I won't show games in the background anymore. But if it's because of this or what's around me, no. Not a fan of the overseas games. I don't know. I've talked to very few people that truly are a fan of these overseas games. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. I don't want to get up and have to watch a game at 9 a.m. on a Sunday. I don't like that. Our only saving grace is, unless you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, you've only got to do that once every couple of years. But, their ultimate goal is to get a team in England or somewhere overseas that bases the team over there. And I just think it's insane. Like, let's put a team in Canada or Mexico City first. I think a Toronto team, like, Canadians love football. Like, look at the, Canadian Football League. Look at the CFL's been around for years. Like, what? Let's stay on the same continent first. That's just me. What is Colts? Colts is a football team. The Colts are a football team, rather. Or are you asking what it is like in general, aside from a football team? Colt is a horse. What do you think about the NBA having a midseason tournament this year? You know what, Doug? I think I'm going to like it. These tournaments, and that's got obviously a college, high school type of feel. I think it's going to be good for the NBA. It breaks up because it gets to be a long season, right? Aside from the All-Star break, I think it's going to be fun. I think it'll benefit the league. I think the fans will like it. I like it, and that's something. Matter of fact, I sent an email today. That's something I'm looking into getting back into. As most of you that know me or follow me, I've talked about working for the Pacers as I did for years. Uh, I really after the pandemic, like I worked every home game. I was very very involved. I worked so much that when the pandemic stopped and they shut the league down, that they continued to pay me. Like that was I was a big enough employee where that had happened. So, but after they played in the bubble and they did all of that, I haven't been very involved in working many games. I am looking to be a lot more involved in working more Pacer games and working more basketball games this season. So I'm looking forward to that. So you'll hear a lot more basketball talk out of me, not than just football. But I'm they. I said, I sent the email, but actually the director of safety and security down there reached out to me first, and he's like, "Hey, man, you still going to work or no?" I'm like, funny you should ask. I was just thinking about that. I don't think we should be sending our teams overseas with the current conflicts going on with Russia, Ukraine, now Israel, and Hamas. Man, I'm telling you what, the Israel and Hamas thing, and Russia and Ukraine, it is, my God, how fast and out of control things can get. Um, and I feel so sorry for the people that are going through that conflict in Israel, man. It is, I don't know if you guys have seen it. And going back and talking about Twitter or X or whatever it's called now, um, it has, you've got to be careful where you open that app. And I've realized that just here as of late. Be careful on where you open that app because you don't know what you're going to see, man. And I've seen some really, really gruesome images and videos on there from what's going on in Israel. Now, that's I'm mixed on that. I have excuse me. I have mixed feelings about that because part of me is like, show people, people need to see what's really going on. I'm about that. I'm an adult. I can monitor whatever it is I want or not want to see. Right? That's on me. But it's at least out there and available. However, I don't want to just stumble onto it either. You know what I mean? At least give me a heads up what I'm about to look at. I don't want to be through my day or sitting at the doctor's office or whatever the case may be, and then see a bullet hole riddled body or something of that nature. So that's I go back and forth on that, but really really feel sorry for those people, and they're really going through it over there, man. I thought about getting Pacers season tickets. I decided not to, but I'll be at quite a few games this year. That's awesome, man. And I tell you what, as far as the Indiana Pacers are concerned, and I don't know, and I've heard this throughout the league. The Pacers are one of the most affordable, NBA teams as far as games are concerned or what you're going to see, being able to attend a game, being able to eat while you're there, all of that. The Pacers are on point when it comes to that. And I tell you what, that is one place that you can go and this is rare, that you can see a professional sport and be a parent with 2, 3, 4 kids, whatever the case may be, and you not have to take out a personal loan or get a second mortgage on your house to be able to take your kids to do that. Now, Colts games or some NFL games, you're going to have heavy pockets to attend one of these games, to go and eat and sit in seats where you can actually see the game, that sort of thing. So it's shout out to the Pacers. And if you haven't been to Gamebridge, to the field house where the Pacers play in a long time, it looks completely different. The renovations they've done on that place, the plaza that they have next to it's really a good time. And I think, and not to mention, the All-Star Game's coming here. The All-Star Game in 2024 will be here in Indy. Absolutely looking forward to that. That's another reason I am looking forward to getting getting back involved with all the goings on that is the Indiana Pacers. So, are they done with Bally Sports? No, unfortunately, they're not. That whole thing was just what was crappy all the way around. That whole thing was crappy, man. But they're still with Bally Sports, and I think that they have an app subscription you can do, but I think it's to the tune of like $20 a month, where you can subscribe to the app and then watch Pacer games, which that stinks, man. That deal they did with Bally Sports, I haven't. It hasn't affected me because I do have Bally, luckily, but that's frustrating, man. How do you expect to expand your fan base and your fandom if if you limit how people can see your product? And I don't know very many people that have Bally. Like when this conversation comes up and I tell people that I have Bally, they're like, how? I'm like, my cable provider already had it. And that's another reason that I have not cut the cord yet with cable. I have cable from my internet provider on where I'm at. My internet is on point, but I have not cut the cord yet and gone to YouTube TV or anything like that yet, simply because I don't want to miss all my sports packages that I have. Have you worked any of the WNBA games? I have. It's ridiculous. You can't watch local Pacer games. Absolutely insane. NFL has priced out of a family budget. Oh, without a doubt, man. It's insane. And then I've been blessed enough that I've gone to more Colts games this season and preseason than I've gone to since I was a kid, probably since. Well, no, that's not true. Post-season tickets, I haven't gone to this many games because I had season tickets for, 3 years, I think it was. 5, 6, 4, 5, and 6. Yeah, so 4, 5, and 6. But this is because I got divorced in 07, so yeah, that was. But anyway, since post Super Bowl era, this is the most Colts games I've been to in a season, in preseason. And to see the people that are there, or the kids that are there, if you were in majority of the people, and I'm not saying everyone, but the majority that I just watched and analyzed that are sitting in the lower sections, in the good seats at Lucas Oil, I would say probably half aren't really watching the game. They're not. Like I would really say close to half aren't watching the game. They're there for the event, to dress up, to go, a lot like NBA games. And I talk about, NBA games, and I'd get to work the bench. So I'd see, I'm there before doors open, before fans come in, and all the people that get to sit close. There are a lot of Pacer fans. Like, Indiana takes its basketball serious. But there are also a lot of people that sit down close, especially, and I will say there are a lot of females that come to games that they couldn't tell you who we were playing. They don't care anything about that game. It's there for a see and be seen type of thing. It's wild. And it's wild to watch and see. And they'll tell you that. They're like, I don't know anything about, but they know who certain players are. And that's the whole point of them going. They go sit down close, get tickets from whomever, try to sit close, and you see them try to get the attention of the players. It's a weird, and someone should do a documentary on this someday, because it's not just some games, it's every single game. And it's a weird, dance that occurs between some of the females that are trying to get players' attention and the players, and it's a weird thing, man. It is definitely a weird thing. It's funny to watch. But WNBA games are much different. They are much different, especially from attendance, the fans that attend. Um, I tell you what, I enjoy WNBA a lot more sitting there watching the game than I do watching from afar or on TV. I don't think I've very few times caught myself watching a WNBA game on TV, and that's not being mean, that's not being sexist, that's not anything else. I was never a fan of women's basketball until I started to watch it in person or until I had a vested interest in it. Um, like first time I really started watching women's basketball was when I worked at a high school here that had a very competitive girls basketball team, and they made a state run, and I really started to watch some of the talented girls that were on that team that could really ball out, and I'm like, man, they're a lot of fun to watch. But I knew these students. I had a vested interest in it. I wanted to see them win and do well. So it was definitely something that you can get into. And same way with the WNBA. Working for the Indiana Fever, um, rooting for them, getting to know some of the ladies on the team. Um, yeah, it definitely helped me have an interest in the game. The Taylor Swift effect. That's funny. Well, guys, I will wrap this up. I do like the fact that it shows that I'm live. It shows that I've been on here 82 minutes now. Uh, Live in Columbus, Ohio. 3-hour trip in any direction plus gas, hotel, merch, food. Not easy to take the family to see pro sports. Man. Can't stand Ohio State or Blue Jacket. That's tough. Man, that is tough. David, I don't know if I told you this. I've got a buddy of mine that lives over there. He used to work with me on the sheriff's department and got hired at Columbus PD. The white shirts and those taxi driver hats. He came back. I had an arrest. This was 2017, I think it was, that I just went to court over last year. I think it was last year. Last November. I could be lying. It could have been 21. It was 1 year, 2 years max. So this court case had gone on 5 years. It kept getting kicked down the road. Then the pandemic happened. Then it kept getting kicked down the road. A lady resisted arrest. I tried to stop her on the interstate on I-70. She refused to stop. It was a slow speed pursuit. We go down the road. I light her up. She refused to get over out of the left lane. I light her up. I see her arm come out of the window, and I thought she was waving me by. The whole reason I was stopping her, one, she was doing 30 on I-70, 30 miles an hour. That's dangerous. And we were going so slow, I had to turn my back deck lights on so we didn't get hit by a semi or something like that. So she's doing 30 in the fast lane. So I first come up on her, see that they're out-of-state plates, hit my brights just to let her know somebody's back there. Because I immediately thought Garth Brooks did a 3-night stint here. And I was just leaving one of the Garth Brooks shows that I'd worked all night. So I'm thinking somebody from out of state. It was state, Minnesota, I believe it was. So I'm thinking they're just lost. Hit the brights. I'm like, hey, you need to get over. Let him know I was behind him. Nothing. Hit him again. She starts to kind of weave in and out between, from the white and dash lines. Acts like she's going to get over. Goes to get over in the middle lane and then comes back over in the fast lane. So I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask. I'm going to make it. I'm going to tell, and then I'm going to make you. So you get 3 opportunities. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to make you. So that third time, man, I flash her one more time. Maybe she's not seeing that there's a car behind her. At that point, she goes to get over in that middle lane one more time and jerks it back to the left lane, then jerks it back to the right lane. So now I think I go from, I was thinking this person was lost. to then my mind started to go with maybe a medical emergency, because I've dealt with people, that are behind the wheel of a car having a medical emergency a bunch of times. So she gets back to the middle lane. Now I'm like, okay, now we have to have a conversation. I need to see what's going on. So I light the car up, I activate all my lights on the car, and I see her arm come out. And I say her, but I didn't know if it was man, woman, what at the time. I see an arm come out, driver's side of the car, that's doing like this. And it's dark. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I thought the driver was waving me up. I'm like, maybe something's wrong and they're trying to tell me something. But as I look again, I'm calling this out on the radio. I look again, she wasn't waving me up. She was flipping me off. She was giving me the bird. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And we haven't broken 35 miles an hour. So I'm calling this out on the radio. All of a sudden, the lady abruptly dives over to the shoulder, and that's 3 or 4 lanes right there on 70. Dives over to the shoulder and stops short, like locks it up, because I'm right behind her. She locks it up where I almost hit her. So now she stops with her tail end out in traffic on 70. So now I'm in traffic on 70. And it's, like I said, it's dark, not very well lit right there. And as soon as she comes to a stop, the door opens. So as soon as she pops the door open, she jumps out, and I'm on my feet. She beats me to the street. She beats her feet to the street, which is, on a traffic stop, that's not what you want. My feet want to be the first one to hit the ground, last one to leave the ground. So I jump out. I'm like, get back in the car. And she's screaming at me. The semis are flying by. I'm like, get back in the car. I'm ordering her back in the car. She comes to the bumper of her car and is flipping me off both hands, just screaming F you to me. I have no idea what's happening, right? I asked for another unit, and keep in mind, I knew the cavalry wasn't that far behind me because I just left the cavalry. We all just went off different directions leaving this concert. So I order her back in the car. She finally stops flipping me off, walks back, gets in the car, closes the door. I'm like, good God. So within about a minute, I had another car there. And it was Deputy Rafi at the time, who now works for Columbus PD. Good buddy of mine. I knew, and he lived out, near me. So I knew there was people coming my direction to boot. So come up with a plan. I give him a rundown what had just happened. We brake to go approach the vehicle again. And once we do, I'm going up driver's side. He was going up passenger side. As we start to make the approach on the car again, she bails back out. And, now we've got her at gunpoint because it's dark. You can't see her. She bails out of the car, and she was keeping herself bladed. This lady had her body up against the car, and she was bladed, and she had something in her right hand that I couldn't see because she had her back up against the car. She was looking at us. And anytime somebody blades their body, so if I'm looking at you like this is a whole, this is a much bigger area than this. I've now made myself small. And if somebody is getting ready, that's a sign. If somebody is getting ready to, do something you don't want them doing, or getting ready to get in a shootout or anything like that, you're not just going to stand there and do it like this. You're making yourself small. So she blades her body up against the car, and I'm like, oh God, dude, here we go. So I'm like, don't move. Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. So we both got her at gunpoint, called on the radio. We have her at gunpoint, and she's just not moving. She is absolutely not moving. So I split out. And keep in mind, I'm in the lane of I-70. I'm in 70. So I tell the deputy I'm with, I'm like, I'm going to the less lethal. Put my gun up, get a taser out. I fan out into the road because our cars are here. She's right here. We're back here. I fan out into the lane of I-70 with the taser. And then I could see that she had, it wasn't a gun. It looked like a cell phone at that point. But I wasn't positive still. And I'm yelling commands at her, and he's yelling commands at her. We're dividing her attention. And as soon as I hit that red dot on her chest with that taser, she looked down enough that I could go in and apprehend her and took her to the ground. And she fought and resisted and the whole thing, man. But I never ended up finding out the why of all of this. She was definitely on some medication, not on some medication she needed to be on. We found some, some paraphernalia in her vehicle from, narcotics and whatnot. That was another thing she got arrested for that night. But it was it was scary. That was a very, very scary situation, because we had no idea, and not only for us and our safety, but for her, because she still, not until we eventually end up going to court. I still don't think she really understood how close she was to getting shot that night. And this was 2 days after the Vegas shooting, or 2 or 3 days after the Vegas shooting. That's why we were working, because the Garth Brooks concert was the first big event that it was going on in the United States since that Vegas shooting. And there was law enforcement with long guns on the street corners of the city of Indianapolis. It was a very, very weird, like, we had officers in places throughout downtown, all around this venue, to keep people safe. It was a very weird time. Something like I'd never done. So there, everybody's awareness and whatnot there was a heightened state for certain. But anyway, I refused to do a plea agreement with this lady. And typically, if you arrest somebody, especially in the city of Indianapolis and Marion County, what they do is plea agreements. Like, it blows people's mind when I tell them I've rarely ever had to go to court, because I never saw these people again. They'd take a plea, the prosecutor would shoot them a plea deal, and I'd never have to go to court. I'd never have to see them unless somebody truly fought it and really dug their heels in on it. And the prosecutor came at me and said, "Hey, we're doing a plea agreement." Most of the time I'm like, whatever. I just agreed to it. I don't have to go to court unless there was something that, there's a handful of times I'm like, no, we need to take this one the full distance. So they called me early on. They're like, "Hey, we're going to plea it out." She wanted to plea it out she didn't want anything on her record. She was fighting this. I'm like, absolutely not. No. Like, this lady, because she did, I forget how many days in jail. Not only did she not want time served, she didn't want anything on her record. And I'm like, no, this lady almost got shot that night. Like, we're not just chalking this up. Like, what she did to law enforcement, like, other law enforcement needs to know this is who they're dealing with. You don't just get to do this and then, okay, everybody go home. She jeopardized a lot of people. She put a lot of people's lives in danger that night. So I fought it. And by fighting that, like I said, I had multiple deputy prosecutors that kept, one would leave, they'd leave, and a new one would take over, and they would call me. I deposed this case like 3 different times, and finally I'm like, look, I'm not doing this anymore. You guys are going to have to figure it out. Like, it's sad how broken our criminal justice system is, and I assure you, it's not all on the law enforcement side. Our criminal justice system is broken in large part in the courts, not from the men and women wearing a badge. I promise you that. We are such a small part of the criminal justice process. We are not the ones that are handing out sentences, that are, releasing people from jail or not releasing them from jail, or locking people up on silly things. Like, it is what it is. But anyways, this case took 5 years. 5 years before it went to jury trial. We went to jury trial and it got a conviction. Woo! And I wasn't with the department anymore. So once I wasn't with the sheriff's department anymore, and I was in a different county, I didn't have to deal with those prosecutors anymore. When they started calling me to depose this case again, I was able to tell them how I felt. I was able to tell them, because most of the time, you go in there and get sideways with a prosecutor on something, your boss, you're going to hear about it. That's not something you can do. So I was able to tell them how I felt and tell them how ridiculous this was, that I've had to depose the case 3 times, and how sad it was that they keep losing recordings of the deposition and all of this stuff. So it ended up working out. She got a conviction. It didn't ruin her life or anything like that. So glad you and the deputy were safe. Yeah, me too, man. But the whole point of my long-winded story was that deputy is now for the Columbus PD. Columbus PD got a good one. So I'm glad he's over there. And he's happy. He is happy. Respect, I couldn't do your job. Yeah, like it is, it's not for everyone. I tell you that. It is definitely not for everyone. But, and the job I do now, like working in a school is much different than that, obviously. But it is still hard in just different ways. It is much different. So, guys, I appreciate you as always. There's 10 people in here, and I love it. Thank you for being here. If there's any of these 10 people that are here that are new that haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Please tell a friend. Please tell a friend. Let them come over. We'll try this. Like while I'm in TikTok live purgatory for the next week, I'm really going to use this as an avenue. And if you're here from TikTok, which I'm sure all 10 of you probably are, I will do like I did tonight. I'll set a time, post the time, post a video on TikTok, letting you know what time it'll be. Hopefully you come over and we'll do it some more. But maybe we'll have some more news on AR tomorrow, which I'm hoping. But this wasn't terrible. It's definitely different, but wasn't terrible. And all of you, I appreciate you more than you know for coming over and doing this. As always, I end every live. I leave you with this. Doesn't cost anything to be nice. It costs absolutely nothing. So try to do better. Be a better human in life. You know, the next time you interact with somebody, say something nice to somebody. Do something nice for somebody. Doesn't cost anything. Hold a door open for somebody. Let somebody in front of you in traffic. Things like that do not cost anything. But the effect from it is great. And you have no idea how much you can positively influence someone's day or even their life by such a small random act of kindness. I assure you that. So we obviously have enough jerks in the world. That's how I got to this point. But I appreciate you all. Have a wonderful Tuesday tomorrow. You got Monday under your belt. I'm off on vacation this week, so we'll do this again. Hopefully come back tomorrow night. I appreciate each and every one of you. Come back and see me soon. Be good, YouTube.